Resume recording. Excellent. Fantastic. And that should be recording. Hang on. I always do a backup record just in case stuff breaks. Okay. Wait, can someone talk just to double check that the audio works? Yep, sweet. Awesome. Thanks. Okay. So yes, genre and tropes. So we'll go through the genres first, the generalized list that's pretty much available on Wikipedia. And then we're going to get into tropes of those genres, and then just generalized tropes. So everyone knows what an action game is. It's very similar to an action movie in that it emphasizes physical challenges and hand-eye coordination and reaction times. So it makes you feel like you're going through a lot of obstacles in a very energized manner. You know, an action. So the sub genres are platformer, shooter, fighting, beat 'em up, stealth, survival, battle royale, and rhythm. And we've all talked about different types of games throughout history that have created these genres and subgenres. So here's a platformer, and this is what a platformer looks like. I don't actually know the game, but I actually think it's a game dev just testing stuff out. The point of a platformer is to get from point A to point B. Usually involves, so these are sort of tropes in that you expect this to happen throughout the platformers. Double jump, hit or avoid enemies, sprinting, and a scrolling screen. Now, when I say scrolling screen, do you understand what that is in this context?
Like the whole image or whatever you're seeing is much bigger than what you actually see at the time because it can move around.
Yeah, so the camera moves you around the environment. It stays to your side on view, usually for platformers. However, not always, because there are platformers that are 3D platformers, like Spyro and Crash Bandicoot, where you could move your own camera around and you would be able to, it's still classified as a platformer because you're jumping from platform to platform. So scrolling screen is not always applicable to every platformer. Neither is double jump, and hitting enemies is not always a thing that you could do. Like in the original Mario, we had you had to disable your enemy before you could jump on it with the power block, and then in Mario Brothers, you were able to jump on the back of the Koopa Troopers and such. Yes, so fighting games. This gift's really cool because it explains to you what the animations, like how the animations convey a really quick, responsive feel. So they do 3 frames startup, 4 frames of active, and then 8 frames of recover. So you know that it's happened. The anticipation is very tiny because when you press that button, you want the action to get to hit pretty much straight away, and then you want to be able to read what that action was with the recovery. It's pretty cool. So fighting games usually have a combination moves, and these combination moves can vary player to player and game to game. However, most of the time they're called combos, right? And it adds a layer of complexity to, much like that word, to the game itself. And it also gives like it is not just a layer of complexity, but it's also a layer of memory, like being able to memorize the combo is one thing, and having it like being able to press XX0 XXX to kick someone and then block is fairly easy to remember because you're pressing 2 buttons, right? Then you've got X, 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 and then circle. I said 0 before, but I meant circle, square, which would give you a different combo, and you have to remember that. So the layers, the amount of combos each character has adds a layer of complexity to the game itself. With fighting games, can anyone tell me what Shotokans is? I think I said that right, but it's like Shotokans, as far as the eye can see, is a trope, right? Anyone want to give it a guess?
No idea. Can't even take a step in the dark.
Okay. Have you heard of Hadouken?
Is that something to do with Pokemon?
No. How about Kamehameha? No, seriously? You don't know Dragon Ball Z?
No.
That's fine. So anything that requires...
I know of Dragon Ball Z, never watched it.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll put that aside. Oh, the thing with fighting games is that everyone has sort of like a chi, right? A spirit. So like with Hadouken is a flaming fist. And then you've got like a small ball of power or chi that goes towards the enemy, right? Which is very similar to Kamehameha, and then like does tiny ball behind back and throws it to the enemy. Those are called shotos, and everyone in fighting games seems to have something of that sort. It's like a ranged sort of thing. If your character doesn't have it, they'll have some sort of like it'll still be a ranged attack, but it won't be like a chi sort of thing, right? So the character that is currently getting his he's doing the chop, he has elastic arms and legs. So when he punches really, really fast, he has a ranged attack where it can reach all the way across the screen and punch the character. It's really weird. And yeah, so Shotokans are things that like flaming fists and chi-based attacks.
Specialty, like
yeah, each character has their own. Yeah. Yes, yeah. The only people that have the same is usually Ryu, who in Street Fighter is Ryu and Ken. They have the same, but they are opposites because they are essentially martial arts brothers. They're not actual brothers, but they're best friends and enemies at the same time. The other one I was going to talk about was like charging and mashing moves. So that's also a trope where some of the combos require you to do like a charge. I made this because some of the moves require like a half pull on the joystick, a half clockwise move, or a half counterclockwise move. Or a full counterclockwise move, clockwise move, which on the joystick itself, which will charge up this attack. Also used with the the Hadoukens and stuff as well. All right, stealth games. So my favorite stealth game is Dishonored. Personally, I liked Thief.
I love Dishonored.
Yes, Dishonored 2. I really want there to be a third one, but that wouldn't work.
I don't play much of Dishonored 2, actually. I think I got to the second level and kind of gave up. I kept dying. I know it did the stealth way. I just went, straight in.
Yeah.
Fourth one, like, so fun.
The gift that is there is Dishonored 2. He shot him with a sleeping dart and just managed to physics applies once a body is down, and then it just goes flying through the door, which is hilarious to me. The idea of stealth games is that you get from one it's usually an overarching story. You get from point A to point B without alerting enemies. So other than Dishonored, what other games do you think would be stealth-based games?
Maybe like Assassin's Creed.
Yeah. I would classify that as a stealth game as well. Yep.
I was going to say the Batman Arkham series, but they're not really stealth games. They just have stealth elements. They're probably not that.
Yeah.
Would like Watch Dogs maybe?
I actually haven't played it. From what I've seen, no one's tried to be stealthy, but I assume there is some sort of stealth in it. The most stealth games are going to be like Tenchu Stealth Assassins, it has it in the name, right? But like you got Metal Gear Solid, where you have to hide from enemies. You've got a very iconic brink kind of noise whenever an enemy spots you. And there's also the other iconic hide underneath a cardboard box so that the enemies don't see you move. I would also say Hitman. All of the Hitman franchise are stealth games because you don't want to be seen when you take down your marks. And it's been suggested that Splinter Cell is as well, which from what I remember was fairly stealthy as well. But yeah, the thing that I like to do in stealth games is try and ghost the entire game. So I make sure that I'm not detected by anyone. So the thing with Dishonored, so you see just before he gets shot in the GIF, he had like a little red lightning bar that filled up. So right here, that's the initial awareness of, hey, something's wrong, I should go check this out. And then you get 3 red lightning marks, which means I found something and I am fully alerted to this presence, which is what you don't want to get if you're ghosted. So it's important to tell the player when they have been spotted, and usually a sound will play that tells them that they've been spotted, and action, and sometimes dialogue. Rhythm games. This GIF is insane. Hits it with his elbow.
Sorry, my internet just dropped out then. So.
Oh no.
I just missed all of what you were saying about the red line, but I have played the first game, so I do know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was saying that the stealth element, the visual representation of being seen, tells the player.
Yeah, because that was in the first game as well, wasn't it?
It was, yes.
Yeah. I tend to, attack them straight on. So
Yeah,
I got the really dark. I got the really dark ending.
Oh yeah.
But one thing I don't like, I just want to quickly say, because
yes.
I do remember this from the second game, is on I wasn't too big on the Outsider's new voice actor. I did prefer the original one from the first game.
Oh,
The Outsider?
yeah. I did not realize it.
Yeah, I didn't like the voice actor changing.
Oh, okay.
So-
Yeah. There was speaking of voice actor changing, and this is tangential, I know. Claptrap also had his voice actor change as well. And I think a few other people have, like quite a few characters throughout the series of various games have had their voice actors moved.
I like Corvo's voice actor though in the second one. I did like that, how he could actually speak now.
Yeah. Yes. So hold on to that idea because that's a trope. Okay, so rhythm games. This focuses on the player's dexterity while matching a beat. Have we all played a rhythm game of some sort?
Yes.
Good.
Probably.
Absolutely.
Okay, if you want to experience a rhythm game for free, I believe it's called Uso. I'll find it at some point, but Osu with an exclamation mark. I'll type it in. Osu.
Welcome to us.
That is
Click the circles.
that's really loud.
See you next time.
My bad. It also put it on the wrong screen, so couldn't change it. It's a rhythm game, and you can play via a drawing tablet or with your mouse. And I should have checked that it worked on this screen and not on that screen, but it involves multiple different types of things. Like you have to click on things, mechanics. So you have to click is one of them. The other one is holding, and another one is spinning. So you have to spin your mouse or your cursor as fast as you possibly can to get as many points as possible. There have been multiple studies for health and education saying that rhythm games have definitely benefited. They definitely benefit people that are, say, obese or have an odd heart rate, or just need a better. It's a VO2 max. Like you need higher O2 in your system. A good way to do that is to jump on to a rhythm game, like in VR or just on Wii or something like that, and actually get around and do stuff. Jump on DDR. So for those that don't know,
the games that for regular I can't remember the name of. It's sort of used by psychologists and things, and they hook up like things to your ears and your fingers to get your pulse rate going.
I couldn't tell you.
The whole rhythm part is your breathing. If it slows, I've actually experienced it. If your breathing isn't in a really nice pattern, the pattern that it's meant to be, the screen kind of freezes up and clouds over, and you can't move around.
Oh, cool! Yeah, so you're like training yourself to breathe better.
It's a way to train your way to be relaxed and be able to be just having your breathing like regular. And I guess that would be classed as a sort of rhythm.
It's sort of like so every game can have more than one genre, right? That kind of a game would probably be more of a serious game. It's one that is used for serious reasons. But yeah, I would probably call that a rhythm game as well.
The game was pretty simple. It was not much gameplay. It was just walking around, going around an environment, collecting flowers or whatever.
Cool.
So that was cool. It. That was all that you have to do, and it monitors your heart rate or your pulse, and it's got a little like a wave to sort of follow your in and out breathing.
Oh, very cool. Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I was thinking of more of like an energetic kind of way, but that definitely sounds really cool as well.
Yeah.
Sue. Oh yeah, that's right. I jumped out of it. We've also got action adventure games. So you've heard me talk about survival horror a lot. Anyone want to recall about survival horror and what I've talked about? Like any mechanics or tropes or something like that of them?
Like collecting things, usually some sort of focus or quest, like some sort of end goal that the game kind of leads up to, like that climax.
Yes, sort of. Yep. There's definitely a thing in it.
I don't really play that many of them.
That's fine. Yeah.
Without
It's a
cheating
very
off the screen.
niche sort of thing. So action adventure games in general do focus on exploration and item gathering, solving puzzles, and sometimes there's combat. The main thing about survival horror is that they give the player a sense of helplessness by restricting or just avoiding weapons of any kind. So all you can do is run and or hide. So the screenshot I've got is of Resident Evil 2 remake, and in the background in the doorway is Mr. X. So this guy cannot be defeated by normal means. He will follow you around the police station and won't stop. You'll hear this thump, 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 thump of his his boots around the place, and you'll be like, where is this coming from? Until he's right behind you and you're like, and freak out and try to run away. Shooting him does nothing. You get an achievement for shooting his hat off his head, and I think you get an achievement for stunning him by shooting him in the face 4 times, but he does not die, and he will always come back. So other tropes also involve person behind the glass. So just before I explain it, do you guys want to give your best what's the word I'm looking for? Example, or stab in the dark for it. No pun intended.
Of a trope?
Of the person behind the glass.
No, I've gone blank. Trying to save somebody, but there's no way to save them.
I see where you're going with it. No, not quite.
Okay. No idea. Like you see this, like is it some sort of scare tactic? Like you see somebody, it's just like a silhouette or something.
I also see where you're going with that. No. So the idea is that you are sectioned off from this person, right? This NPC, and they'll usually there's a really good example in Alien Isolation. There's a doctor who is currently walled in 3 a walled off section, right, with a single window or glass pane separating you from him, and he says, I don't want to leave this room until you make it safe. You have to make it safe for him to leave the room. Then in true wait, hang on, does anyone want to play Alien Isolation? I should ask before I spoiler it.
Not particularly.
Okay.
Yeah, probably not.
Okay. Sweet.
That it's on free on Xbox now.
Is it? Sweet.
Yeah, because it's like a Game Pass thing. It's like over, I think 200 games that are for free. You can just download. So there's Fallout 3, Borderlands 2, Fallout New Vegas, Alien Isolation.
Oh, cool.
And heaps Master Chief Collection and more.
That's super cool. So if you do get to play Alien Isolation, you'll realize which section that I'm talking about. This doctor says, yes, I can't help you. And then the main character says, help me, please. And he said, only if you make it safe for me. And she goes and makes it safe. And then you come back with the quest item, and the alien crawls down the vent and promptly murders the person behind the glass, causing you to freak out and look for a place to hide. Because now you know that the alien is in the room. So another one is Late to the Tragedy. Unless someone wants to interject, it is about the player turning up late to the tragedy. So in Resident Evil 2 remake and the first one, Leon and Claire both arrive at Raccoon City a day or so after the outbreak has happened and has started. Another thing with like with Alien Isolation, we'll use that again. The main character turns up on this ship maybe an hour into the issues that started. And then stuff increasingly gets worse and worse and worse. And then the other trope that I wrote down was informing the fourth wall. So it's not just survival horror games, but a lot of games do it. It's when the character says, oh, I have the basement key, or found the kitchen window key. You know, one, how do they know that it is a kitchen window key? But two, it's to let you know what key or what item has been obtained by that tiny little dot that's on the ground that you can't see. Okay, I talked about Metroidvanias before. This is where like it features a large interconnected world map. Usually all one map, but sometimes shows exits so that you can go to another smaller map and then another smaller map. Or, you know, not exponentially smaller, but just small maps. So with Metroidvanias, they are classified as like a platformer, but the main reason they are called Metroidvanias is because the player requires special abilities or tools or weapons to open up the sections of these world maps, which often includes retracing your steps across the map. So can anyone think of a game that would be classified as a Metroidvania?
Possibly Zelda?
No.
Okay.
Only because, well, one, Zelda's not a platformer. That's more of an open world sandbox RPG, I guess. So the key thing, I mean, other than Metroid and other than Castlevania, which would be two very obvious options, one of the choices, a game could be Guacamelee, which I had talked about previously in other lectures. This is a screenshot from Guacamelee, where you have to use a special jump from one that you learnt previously to get up onto that higher platform to get to that treasure chest. So speaking of, here's a map of Guacamelee, and we can zoom in. So you see this small, can I? Oh, okay, no, that's fine. You see this small tunnel that has like this cave mouth and the #1 treasure chest. In Guacamelee, you have to turn into a chicken to get in there, which sounds amazing, and it is. Another thing well, to get from the cave mouth to the number one chest, you have to be a chicken. To get down this the toll from the exit to the cave mouth is just you being normal sized. Another thing is that if you want to get to this number 16 and number 17 treasure chest, you obviously can't jump from here, because if you fit, your body is the size of this tunnel near the cave mouth, and you can only jump up to where the bottom of this 6 is, where that lip is. You can't jump as high as number 17 or 16. So the way that you get to there is you make a special move, or you get a special move that lets you fly across the screen. So eventually you make your way up to the top of this section up here, and you fly off to get, actually I think it's up near number 5. You fly off number 5 to get to number 16, and then you fly off from 16 to get to number 17. There are other things where, like, to get past number 10, you need to be able to fly across the screen to bash through a block that shows up here, and you'll get all the way down. And to get out, you need to be able to double jump and wall climb. For those that have played Hollow Knight, this is the Hollow Knight map, or a draft of. I have a link here for the entire Hollow Knight map that is fully interactive. It's very cool to have a look at. But this one has what can be broken. So, like, these are the breakable walls, and the legend at the top left has the breakable walls, and tells you what needs to happen to break these walls. So some of them require you to know dash. Others require you to have acid armor, or air jump, or shadow dash. And then you get into certain areas which, like all of the fungal wastes, require you to have wall jump. But the City of Tears requires you to have acid armor and super dash to get through certain areas. So you do end up retracing your steps quite a bit. All right, on to adventure. So real quick, adventure is like The Hobbit or D&D or those sorts of things. Real-time 3D adventures are games like Myst and Rime. I think it's Rime, where you go through an adventure. Like it's sort of like a point and click adventure, but it's all puzzles. That's the sort of thing. Interactive movie we had talked about previously with like the Stranger Things episode. They require you interact with puzzles, environments, NPCs to overcome an obstacle in a non-violent manner. At no point is there combat, or if there is combat, it's written and is not really what we assume as combat. Role playing. So RPGs. Has everyone played an RPG?
No.
Wait, seriously?
I have. Even I have.
Like I've played D&D once, but that's
Okay.
not a video game. That's just a game.
Okay.
I guess.
So have you played like Dragon Quest or
Nope.
Dragon Age?
No.
Or WoW? Or WoW? Warcraft?
Nah.
Oh, it's alright. It's not for everyone.
Yeah.
Mass Effect and those ones are also classified as RPGs. What's the most famous MMORPG?
No idea.
Sarah, you want to give it a go?
Can you say that again?
What's the most famous massive multiplayer online role-playing game, or MMORPG?
Right
Is it
now?
Warcraft?
It is. It's Warcraft. It's World of Warcraft. Yeah. So yeah, but now-ish, I suppose. The most popular one was or is WoW. Now that they came out with vanilla WoW again, they keep revamping the same stuff. It keeps the people interacting with the game. So sandbox RPG would probably be more what Zelda is like than anything else. It also draws from D&D, interacting with puzzles, NPCs, environments, that sort of thing. But you do have combat to defeat enemies most of the time. The best thing I think about role-playing games is that more specifically in like pen and paper role-playing games, not video game role-playing games, is that you don't have to attack. You don't have to fight at any point. Like you could run away, you could talk, you could bribe, you could trap, but you don't necessarily have to have combat, which I feel like gives more power to the player. Now, roguelikes. Does anyone want to... I was about to pun, and I'm going to continue. Anyone want to have a stab in the dark about a roguelike?
Like a big boss or something? No?
No, it's not. So roguelikes are usually ASCII. Not always. I think Baird is classified as a roguelike. No, it's not. It wouldn't be. There are a few other ones, right? That one, so if you can't tell, this is your character. This is you. This is who you play. And then he's shooting a fireball or something like that from or like a rocket launcher. And these are flammable, so they explode and do more damage, and then the other ones also explode and do more damage. The point of roguelikes is that much like a role-playing game, a normal role-playing game, you explore the world, it's open, you get quests, side quests, all of that jazz, but when your character dies, it's dead and you have to start again. So a good example was Don't Starve. And if you haven't played it, I highly suggest you do. It gives interaction, like it has really nice interaction between the player and the character. The characters all speak in instruments, which is really cute and very consistent. Everything has an instrumental sound to it, which is really cool. But that's slightly tangential. The reason people like roguelike games is for the sense of accomplishment. Most of the time, if you manage to survive, say something like this, you feel like you have conquered the world. But know that every corner that you turn, if something could explode or kill you or poison you, or you could run out of water, or you could run out of food, or stuff like that, right? A good example also for roguelikes is oh no, I had it. It was in my head. Not Jude. That's Stephen King. I'll come back to it. I had it in my head. It's fully randomized and is free to play and has very strange names and can last forever, apparently, because it is so randomized. Anyway, idle games. So not much to be said about idle games because they're pretty idle. The point of them is for the player to farm points and see how fast they can get those points. It's quick and simple, and the games themselves can play themselves. The classic example is Cookie Clicker, where you bake your own cookies initially, and then you hire grandmas. Like you bake your cookies, you sell them, you get the money. You hire grandmas who bake cookies, who sells them, or you can sell them, and then you get people that sell the cookies, like Girl Scouts or something, which gives you money, and then automatically you're making money to get money, and so on and so forth.
I've tried a couple of those things and they bore me so easily. Like,
it's fun for the first maybe hour, maybe, and then it's I don't play them after that.
No.
So we were talking about serious games before. Serious games are used are part of like they're supposed like this. It's like a purpose game. There's a purpose for playing the game, like edutainment, exa games, which are like exercise games, like the Wii Fit, the Wii Fit, and the Wii Board. What's the board called, Bailey?
Wii Fit balance board.
That's it. Yeah. So that's an exa game. An adver game was so KFC came out with a dating app, a dating sim game. That's an adver game because it's advertising KFC in a very strange way, and it is hilarious. I highly suggest you watch someone play it if you haven't played it.
I heard about it. I'm like, oh my god, that's crazy.
Art game, Christian games, they're all pretty normal. Like they do what they say on the tin. But serious games are used in training and science and studies, right? So a friend of mine, she makes serious games for miners, which teach miners how to use mining rigs or diggers. And I've heard that some people are taught about some aspects of explosives in mining for via serious games. I don't think it's the entire thing. That would be very weird. Military uses serious games in simulations for like invasions and stuff like that. Invasions is not the right word, but I think you understand.
They use it for medical training too now, so you can
they do
a virtual operation.
Yeah, so now that we have VR and AR, it's much easier to look at the human body in a more realistic way. Don't confuse serious games with simulations. They are not the same. I'll talk about simulations a bit later, but yeah, serious games are real and used for real purpose things, not usually something for the only simulation game I can think of that would be sort of classified as a serious game would be a flight sim, so that you can get experience flying planes and or helicopters that way.
What's an exo game? Exo game.
So that was the exercise game. Yeah, with the Wii board. Yeah. Wii board. I'm doing great. So I was talking about edutainment. These are 2 edutainment games that I played, but I was a bit older than my brother, who actually owned those games. They are a lot of fun, I will say, even though they're aged for like 3 to 8. These games are quite fun. So Spy Fox in Dry Cereal is a ripoff of James Bond, but like a very incompetent James Bond. And you have to help him find out who the serial killer is. It's literally like about cereal. So at one point you meet his girlfriend, Monkey Penny, who is a monkey. Yeah, it's a great little comedic thing for adults or kids of older age to get like all of the secret jokes, but the younger kids don't understand what's going on, or like they don't understand the joke, but they like it. They understand that they are learning things. They're
like
finding
The Simpsons.
things. Yeah, or like Shrek or Aladdin or stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah. So there's another one. There's a car one as well. I can't remember what that one was called. Sort of like Dora the Explorer sort of deal. Where it's an educational thing, but it's entertaining at the same time. So that's called edutainment. All right. Yeah. So simulation. I was talking about that before. So this is construction, management, life, vehicle simulations, right? Vehicle simulations I would classify as more serious games than an actual simulation. But then you got like games that is like Goat Simulator, right? So these are joke simulators where you pretend to be a goat and just wreak havoc across the world. I worked on Speaking Simulator, where you have to pretend. You're a robot and you're trying to speak, trying to know how to speak. So it's a simulator in that way. Most of the time, these like simulations. When you think of simulation, when I think of simulation, most of the time, SimCity comes up, which I would call a construction and management simulation game. It is the epitome of that genre type, or that subgenre type. Theme Hospital, Jurassic Park, where you had to actually manage the park, not the Telltale games. RimWorld, Surviving Mars, any of those are construction and management simulation games. There's a prison one. Sorry?
Would you say Farmville was?
I wouldn't necessarily. I would call that more of a casual game, and more of a clicker kind of style.
I didn't remember it, to be honest. But.
Yeah, so more of a like farm simulator would be a simulation game. Like pretty much anything that says simulator in it would be classified as a simulation game, right? But like Evil Genius was one where you were an evil genius and you had to make your evil base that was like in a volcano, and make sure that the heroes couldn't get in, and that all of your lackeys were doing their job and stuff like that, right? So it's like a management game, but under the guise of like being an evil villain in a volcano. Strategy games. So I really like strategy games personally. I have previously created a MOBA with a bunch of friends, which, I mean, it didn't really work all that well. But the idea was that you would try to sacrifice you were stereotypical islander of some sort that believed that the volcano gods were angry, right? So you had to throw a tribute into the volcano, which was a sheep. And the idea was that you would block the other person from getting more god points by disposing of your minions into a fight into the center of the arena. And if someone got through, they got the god point, right? MOBA is usually, it has 3 lanes, right? So an outer lane, like a top outer lane, a bottom outer lane, and then a middle lane. And you're trying to get from one side of the map to the other side of the map while fighting in the center and trying to get around them to overtake them. Very classic MOBA would be Dota 2 or LOL, which is League of Legends, for those that don't know the acronym. They are esports specific. Not specific. They get featured on esports quite a lot. They're easy to watch and they're easy to they don't narrate, but they oh no, I've lost it. I've lost the word. What's the word? Commentate. Easy to commentate. Real-time strategy and real-time tactics I would put together. And same with turn-based strategy and turn-based tactics. Has everyone played a tower defense game of some sort?
No.
Okay. So there are plenty of them on Newgrounds. It used to be a very popular platform to upload games to, and other things. Assuming it's still around. Actually, I should have checked that. The idea is to stop the waves of enemies from getting to the center of your base or the end of the road, right? Depending on how you make this tower defense work. There is a game out there called OTTTD, which stands for Over the Top Tower Defense Game, which I just typed in chat, where it really is what it says it is. It's a tower defense game and everything is very much over the top, and everything explodes. Lots of fun. Chews up memory like no tomorrow, though. Turn-based strategy games like XCOM, and oh man, Invisible Inc. There's so many of them. Same with turn-based tactics. Real-time strategy would be like Age of Empires and those types of games, which absolutely love. And then yeah, you got like auto chess as well, that sort of deal. Okay. We've got sports, which, I mean, it's sports, right? So like racing, competitive, MMA, football, sports, tennis, all of those sports, tennis, football, soccer, and golf, fishing. They're all sports games. Even hunting, I would say. Exercise time. Okay, so we tested this beforehand, so we're gonna go through. That's the wrong thing. Looks very similar. Oh, right, yeah. Here we go. Okay, so on my screen, I'm gonna bring up some tropes that I have already prepped. We are going to go through the genres again, and we're going to think of at least one trope per game type. But before we do, we'll start with tropes that just come up into our head and see if any of them apply to everything or if any of them apply to a specific type of game. Okay, so feel free to take control of the mouse and keyboard and type in a trope that you can think of that applies to every game or any game. So I've already got 4 up there. If it shines, it's interactable. So like if it glints, you can interact with it. Mana is always blue, poison is always green, and health is always red. Who wants to go first? Also, the question is...
I'm not really sure how to take control of the screen. But
Oh, okay. That's a good question.
In view options, you just
Is it
request
that?
remote control.
there we go.
Hey, nice. Okay, so
Oh,
feel free to click anywhere on the screen, not necessarily where the health is red section.
I'm trying.
There you go. Hey, that's a good one. Expositional dialogue. Okay, so can you think of a game where it came like it's definitely in?
Like any world building game, like any fantasy game, where it's really, where real life rules don't apply, or like especially at the beginning of the game where they're setting up the eventual third act in terms of what the goal is, or what the quest is going to be,
Right.
and why it's so important. And also, I don't know if it's like set in a super futuristic or super past time, then it's sort of reinforcing what the rules of the land are, I guess.
Cool. I would also add to that what's the word? A tutorial narration. Because sometimes you just don't know how to move, so people will tell you. Or so like an example that I can think of is Five Nights at Freddy's. You get a phone call and they tell you how to use everything. The cameras, how to close the doors, how to turn on the lights, the fact that you don't have enough power and why you don't have enough power to last the night unless you use it sparingly and in a strategic way. Okay, Tom or Sarah?
I'm still blank.
Okay.
Um,
Tom has the screen. Ooh, butterfly effect. That one's a good one. Yeah. Okay, explain yourself, Tom. Please. Is Tom's mic not working?
It says he's unmuted.
Yeah. I mean, that doesn't mean that his mic doesn't work, though, admittedly.
Yeah, I know. It's just weird.
All right, if Tom can't talk, that's fine. A butterfly effect I can think of is Man of Medan, or they did Before Dawn, I think it is what it's called, where it's literally about the butterfly effect, where an idea or an action cascades into a different type of ending, or you don't get the thing in the future. I suppose also Zelda Ocarina of Time has a butterfly effect, where you have to travel between different time periods to get something to work. So you have to grow the Dengu tree in Ocarina of Time to get a certain quest point, and then go back to when it was a sapling and talk to it and give it specific advice, which then it can give you or could have given you in your past, but its future. Very Doctor Who. Oh, yes. Okay. So, yeah, your microphone wasn't working, Tom. Yes, Until Dawn. There are also dialogue trees to choose what characters say, which can impact what happens, such as making a friend or an enemy. You bring up a good point, yes. And that's not only for, say, games like Until Dawn. The RPGs, multi-faceted storylines will also give you somewhat similar idea. Knights of the Old Republic, or KOTOR as I call it, had that sort of deal where your dialogue could change the outlook of your NPCs. Okay, Sarah.
I'm just gone completely blank.
Okay, think of checkpoints. That one's a good one. Nice one, Bailey. Okay, explain.
Sorry, I was trying to get out of my I couldn't unmute and have remote access at the same time.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, it's super strange. Checkpoints are basically like a point where you can save and return to if you die, sort of. Well, basically like a marker of, you've reached this far in a level, and then you don't have to repeat if you don't want to.
I have another one, which is, I like to call it, yeah, here we go. The worrying save point. The worrying automatic save point, where you're playing a game and then all of a sudden it saves and you're like, why? Why did this happen? Okay, so we'll go through. If you want to do one more, Bailey, go for it. Oh, that is such a good one. Okay, explain.
Sports games are my forte. That's what I know most about.
Sure. Yep.
And it's a very common and controversial thing in sports games, and it also applies to other games. There's actually multiple papers written by EA about this, about the basically it's called dynamic game difficulty balancing, and there's a whole heap of interesting statistics and math involved where it's the balance of keeping the game hard enough that players will keep playing.
Yeah.
And spending money. Keep playing the game, but also making it hard enough that, especially in games like FIFA and Madden, that people feel the need to spend on in-app purchases to get their team just a little bit better to make it easier. But then the difficulty comes up again, and it's like that, like a bit of a cycle.
Yeah.
So it's really it doesn't have to result back to in-app purchases, but that's how I've seen it in the past and done the most research on it. But also I know it happens in other games too.
Sarah, you got one.
I don't know if this counts or not.
I'm going
to put it in anyway.
Yes, do it. Excellent. I would call that a trope.
Okay.
It's more of a trope outside of a genre, right? So it's not a genre trope or a specific game, like it's not inside a game trope, right? Yeah. It evolves outside of the game and in the community, but I would still call that a trope. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yay. Okay. So we've got a collection, which I'm pretty happy with. Now, can we think of a, let let's go back to it. Now, we could just go action game, or we could go specifically platformer, shooter, etc. I'm kind of thinking, because we've only got 40 minutes left, how about we do action, and then if you think of something that happens in a platformer or something that happens in a survival game or something like that, we bring that up. Okay, so I'm going to type.
Cool. So do we just start typing?
Well, I'll write a little thing, and then I'm going to shove it in here, I hope. Maybe. Yes, excellent, good, go for it. Anything in that box should be, no, not necessarily for a platform, it should be for action. Yeah, there we go. Go for it.
So these are tropes
Yes.
that you would find in action games.
Yes. Ooh, good one. Yeah, camera lock on. Okay, explain.
Basically, like, I'm thinking like in terms of shooter games, like you kind of go into like the sniper mode or whatever, and like you can lock onto a target.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the primary example, like just focusing on the target, I guess.
Okay. I would also put down automatic camera lock on. So not necessarily, say, a zoom in, but if you're playing like a 3D game, say Monster Hunter, you can get it to lock the camera onto the thing that you are hunting or attacking, and that way you can attack without worrying about not seeing the target. Anything else?
I'm not sure if this applies to this one, but it's like the classic, like upgrading your ability. I think that applies most in adventure games. Like you start off as kind of a not so great character, and then you got to unlock weapons and abilities.
Yeah. Tom, you done? Okay. Yes. So switching between first and third person camera view is, I'm going to call it a trope. It's sort of like, it's more of a mechanic, unless it automatically does it for you. But yeah, we'll go with that. Yes, you were talking about
Upgradability.
Yes. There are many different types of, so these are like, my list is very long. I'm sorry. Okay, so this one, and the problem with having such a long one is a long list is that you can't find things when you need it. The one that I'm thinking of also means that you start with like you lose weapons initially, and then you get back to where you were, right? So narrative induced ability loss is basically that. But yeah, I can't see it anywhere. I won't waste time. Feel free, write it down.
Is down but not out a thing where you can be knocked down but you have to rely on teammates to revive you or something?
Oh, like in Fortnite or in Battlefront? No, I mean yes, but no. What's the one I'm thinking of? PUBG. That's it. Yes, I would say so. Write it down.
Right. Oops.
Doesn't matter. It's all good.
Would you say, oh, this is more of a fighting thing? I kind of don't know the difference. Well, I do know
Sure.
the difference. It could be in action, but it also could be in a fighting. Just
Yep.
combat, I guess, is like quick time events.
Yeah, so QTEs are something I would put in action and action adventure games for sure.
Mhm.
Definitely an action sort of deal. I'm going to steal a mouse for a moment because I wrote down QTE somewhere. Whoop, that's WTE. QTE. Find it.
I had no idea what they were called before researching for the last essay. I just didn't even I didn't even think about. That's what I found really hard about the last essay. Is like there's so many established conventions that it was really hard to work out where they began.
Yeah. So here we go. There it is. So here are the two. This one sounds a little like someone has been through this and feels the pain.
Yeah.
But this is like a list from tvtropes.com and a collection of other places. So that's where these titles come from. But yeah, the conventions is what we're trying to like. I'm trying to get into before we have to do that third assessment, so that we know what we're talking about. So yeah, if there is an acronym that you don't know, definitely write it down and ask. Or if you think there might be a term for something, ask me or check it out on Google. Because most of the time I would probably check it out on Google anyway. So I'm going to add to this list double jump as well. So get rid of that and that. Excellent. Yeah. Let's see, what else? Oh, I'm also going to put this here, although I feel like it applies to a lot of other games as well. The damsel, be it in distress or not, most of the time in distress, I feel like is a very action sort of thing, or not stereotype, trope, that, yeah, applies. Okay, so we got a bunch for action games I'm pretty happy with, so I'll shove that down further down here. And we'll do the same thing for, we're gonna skip adventure because most people don't, sorry, we're gonna skip adventure, but we're gonna go action adventure games. So action adventure games were Metroidvania and survival horror, more specifically, because I feel like they have a lot of things that, a lot of tropes in them, but I might have to poke in the right direction. Okay. Nope, that's a mute button. There we go. All right, so action adventure. I'll start with the ones that I wrote down before, which were where'd you go? There you go. Person behind the glass. That's not the thing I want. Ah, oh, lies. All right, I'll just type it in. Person behind the glass. Does anyone remember one of the other ones?
I'm racking my brain now. Oh yeah, fourth wall.
I got dreams that I had when I was 5, but I can't remember.
All right, Late to the Tragedy, Informing the Fourth Wall, and Person Behind the Glass are all fairly classic. No Weapons is also a trope. Hide or Die. Sorry, I took the easy ones.
So would Zelda be counted out of that because he does have a sword?
I get where you're going with the Metroidvania vein. It's like, because he can only open up, say, walls if he has bombs, and if he has a specific sword, he can only defeat certain things. But I would probably put it under more action or open world, because there are a lot of at no point is Zelda only a single type of genre, right? Yeah. It's like a combination of action adventure, and RPG. And yeah, the game type like has elements from every genre.
Yeah.
Okay, here's one. The boss resurrection of narrative furthering. For those wondering, it's when the boss gets resurrected, or the big boss gets resurrected to further the story. Doesn't always happen, but like in a few games that I can think of, specifically undead games, the boss will come back to life, and you're like, didn't I just kill you? Can you stop coming back? What else?
Like, just jumping on like the no weapons thing, like
Yeah.
Like progression based on like the equipment you obtain.
Oh yeah. There we go. I'll shove it down here. Oh, here's a favorite of mine, the last ditch helicopter escape. So Left 4 Dead did that quite well. I would probably put that more under action, to be honest. So let's do that. Let's shove it down there. Last ditch helicopter escape. Left 4 Dead and World War Z, and every Schwarzenegger movie ever. They all have get to this vehicle, get to this helicopter, get to this place while something explodes, or else something will explode. What else? Oh, so I have on the list the stereotypical black guy, which I feel like would fall under every game.
Oof.
Yeah, I mean, it's a trope, right? Especially in the 90s. It was very much a trope, and definitely needs to be talked about. And not ignored. Where did that go? There it is. Here, we'll just put it over here. What else? There was, oh yes, go for it.
I'm still thinking.
That's fine.
I know I had one. Come on.
How about see, action adventure is a tough one.
I'm trying to, I don't know how to word it, like collecting the treasure or the goal or the quest, like the.
Oh yeah. So
I mean, there would be in multiple types of genres, so I guess.
yeah. So
But it would be
type.
it would be in an action adventure. I'd say. So,
Yeah, I would call that. I just read it. Like there's a fetch quest kind of thing, which I usually shove in RPGs more.
okay.
But honestly, any game can use it. The fetch quest is usually along the lines of I need you to do this one thing for me so that I can give you a quest item, or do this one thing for me and I'll give you this thing, right? So like WoW does it quite a bit, where it's like, I need 10 boar hides so that you can get a sword. That has nothing to do with swords, but okay, I'll
There's a
get you
lot
those.
of stuff like that in Yonder.
Yeah. So those are fetch quests.
Yeah.
Which generally go in RPGs a bit more.
I don't know if this applies exclusively to action adventure, but it's definitely something I've noticed. Is that like the final boss is just completely overpowered?
Oh yeah. Actually, action
Did you
adventure
say
games
underpowered?
Overpowered.
overpowered. OP.
OP.
Yeah. So end boss booze is OP. Okay. And I would also shove this in here. So you can adjust censorship, whether or not you want gore. Not always, like Resident Evil 2 doesn't let you do it, but like other games you can turn on or off gore, and it might limit the amount of exploding things.
Again, one that's not exclusive to action adventure, but definitely is an important part for most is like cutscenes.
Yeah. Definitely.
Sort of, which kind of goes with the butterfly effect stuff that Tom was talking about.
Yes.
In terms of story trees.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll shove that down here.
Would cinematics be one for pretty much all of them? Or is that would it not
what?
be cinematics? Like
cutscenes are cinematics. So
I wasn't
I'll put them together.
Whether it was or not. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, they're basically the same thing. And then we've got. Oh yeah, we're going to skip adventure. We're going to go into role play. Okay, we've got plenty for role-playing games. Who wants to go first?
I will. I've got one.
Go for it.
I need one really.
Oh, I typed in the wrong. Hang on. There we go. Okay, go for it. You were typing on the wrong screen. I was like, hang on, what? Crafting. Excellent.
I mean,
Explain.
it would be it'd be other genres as well, but you've got to collect certain ingredients to create something that's going to be more, actually useful.
Yep.
You might have to collect some rocks and some, I don't know, grass to be able to feed a particular animal or something, or create something. Like I know in Yonder you can create different clothings, but you've also got to craft certain things so you can become like I can't remember what it's called. You get into the guild. It's a particular there's this particular guilds that do different things, like not locksmithing, but like blacksmith or the fishing. There's different.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's super cool. Health, yes. XP point grind. For monsters, are we thinking specifically like any specific kind of game for XP point grind?
Oh, I just like most role-playing games that I've heard of is like, you've got a character and you just at the start they're a total noob, and then you like
Yeah.
level them up and spend a little time grinding to upgrade them and their ability. That's what I kind of mean like that.
Yeah. So another one, which sort of it pertains to this, is deteriorating weaponry and armor. More specifically in survival action and survival RPG, where your weapons and tools can disintegrate, and they need to be repaired if repairing is possible. Another one is this one, giant spiders. Because giant spiders are everywhere, apparently. Oh, good one. Yes. I like that. So, explain.
I guess I've only played very, very few of these, but like, just like in real life, if you keep doing and practicing one thing, you get better at it.
Yeah.
So the game kind of rewards you that if you defeat somebody, or you do a certain amount of, I don't know, this particular combo, then maybe that has more damage after you like execute 10 of them properly, or you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
A good example is Skyrim for that sort of deal. But like, yeah, there are plenty out there. I have another one, which is a little odd. So, by canon name, I mean that to enjoy the story, you use the name that was given to you. So most of the time this happens in Final Fantasy, but also Pokemon, pretty much anything JRPG-ish, where you get given a name and you can override it, right? So Final Fantasy VII, most people know of Cloud and Sephiroth. I didn't know them as them. I knew them as different names. And when people were talking to me about Cloud and Sephiroth, I had no idea who they were, despite playing the game. Stuff like that, like in Pokemon, it's probably a more obtainable one because Final Fantasy is very much an RPG. You can either be red or blue or ash, or you can have your own name, so that you can have it be whatever. But the character that you will go up against, Gary, is usually changed to something very like either obscene or silly, so that you have to yell their name. Most of the time it'll be in like full capital letters because people didn't realize that you could do lowercase letters, and it didn't automatically switch. But also, yeah, like when you're 10, you're gonna say some silly name to get to the next thing. Anyone got anything else?
The ending be one for maybe role-playing games? Because there are
What
some
ending?
games, well, never ending, like, because there's some particularly like multiplayer online games that just they're never going to end. There's actually no end to it. They'll just keep continuing.
Yeah, I'd say that's a trope. Yeah.
And then there's some that there are a distinct end. That's it. You finish the game. It's done.
Yeah. Speaking of the ones that do end, is that there is a trope in those endings. Does anyone want to give it a go?
Multiple.
I don't know. There's some moral to the story. I don't know.
Yeah, like a moral or multiple ending story would definitely be a trope of role-playing games. The other one I have is choices with only one option. So like a good example is BioShock. Well, any of the BioShocks. They're actually linear games. No matter what you do, no matter what you choose, the ending is the same. But you get the illusion of choice throughout. The BioShock is a really good one to play because of the twists and turns in the story, but also for just seeing the mechanics behind the game type. I have to double check one of them because it's called The Conscientious Murderer, but I have forgotten what it is. So hang on one sec. Here it is. Oh, yes. Okay, so it's explained as he or she has been through a hard time, has seen a lot of wrong things, and is utterly dedicated to non-violence and clean living from this point onwards. But there's a lot of crack dealers around here, and cops getting in the way of a good time, and occasionally rude people and old ladies. And they have a lot of grenades. So I feel like that one fits.
That reminds me of a Monty Python skit with the grandmother, just Hell's grandmas or something. It was like a big gang of like grandmas go around and hit people with their handbag and stuff.
Oh, classic.
Like bullies, like a big group of grandmas that were big bullies.
That's great. Oh, here's another thing. RPGs are fantasy. You know what they also are? Sci-fi. So this one also applies, I feel. Buzzcut space dude. Every space dude has a buzz cut. And that space dude is usually like a space marine where you can do anything and everything. Where did it go? Yeah, buzzcut space dude. Perhaps we judged the whole helmet thing too quickly. If these are mind-numbing, monotonous faces of the future, we'd rather they remain hidden. Soldiers, engineers, prisoners, Jedi, whatever. If they live amidst the stars, they share the exact same dull appearance. The lack of gravity tends to remove all trace of individuality as well, ostensibly, so players can fill in their own personality. Have fun doing the developer's job for them. It just sounds so mean. Oh, there was another one. Oh, yes. So there's defeat means playable. So if you defeat an enemy, you get to keep them as an NPC. There's also, heroes prefer swords. Because of course they do. It's an RPG. Although personally I prefer magic users. However, magic users are never as strong as a sword user, that's for sure. Yeah, that's right. I wanted to talk about action games one last time. Well, I have a few more that I wanted to write down. So, ludicrous giblets, in that everything explodes, and people's giblets are everywhere, if you know what giblets are. If you don't, it's like stomach contents and stuff. It's not a rude word. And another one is cruelty is the only option. So this one annoys me more than anything else. Cruelty is the only option. It feels very limiting. So in the Tomb Raider games, which I love dearly, the only way you can get past a level is by killing everything, right? You can't sneakily get to the end of the level. XCOM does this too. XCOM 2 does this, has this mechanic where you can sneak into the optimal place you want to be, but then you can't steal the thing that you want to steal and leave. You have to destroy everything on the map, and then you can go. It feels restricting as a trope most of the time. Sometimes you don't notice it though. What else? Anyone else got anything? Any other trope that has popped up?
Not that I can think of.
All right, let's move to one last one. I suppose this is more of a everything one, but here comes a new challenger. Is usually like it's sort of, I think of it in fighting games, right? Where in Street Fighter or DOA or Smash, you'll have a new challenger arrives and you have to defeat them in the story mode of a fighting game. I laugh because it feels weird saying that there's a story mode in a fighting game. And lastly, I feel like this definitely has covered these three genres. It's the women dress scantily for a reason, and the underdressed female character. I think it's also like women's fantasy armor is the thing.
That's actually useless usually.
Yes.
Because it just covers up their breasts.
Yeah.
Not their actual major organs.
Yeah, so there's something called female armor bingo. Hilarious. Which I'm going to copy across. So we'll zoom in quickly. Where it covers, if you get 5 in a row, then the lady you're playing is a badass, and you know she's wearing female armor. Yeah, that one. That's very much a JRPG thing. Camel toe. Under boob always.
What is a boob window?
Boob window is where like they have like a hole in their shirt, which here we go. Here's this explains.
All the young boys are going to blush.
NSFW.
Okay. yeah. So boob window is this. And then you've got the impossibly low neckline, which goes to your belly button, and then you've got boob socks, which is what a few of the women in Mortal Kombat have. The ninjas, they for some reason have boob socks. It's very weird. Yeah. So yeah, female armor bingo is a thing, and it's a trope. It's a very big trope.
In adventure in cold climate.
Yes. Every barbarian ever will only ever have, think of Red Sonja with her chainmail bikini, despite being from like a super cold area. Oh yeah, and the looks nothing like the male version of the same outfit is, yes. Yeah. It's so good. Oh, where is this? That's hilarious. Oh, it even... okay, I have to show you this one too, because this one's from a specific game. It's from Dragon Age Inquisition, where the characters... there's the magician. She basically just wears this. And it's like... it's useless. It's thoroughly useless. And then you've got like the ninja chick who has this, and the general fighter, she also has that. It's
Are you boys okay?
Oh yeah, I should have said. Yeah. Anyway, so with that said, that's definitely a very big trope, and it's one that I pull up all the time. I'm like, yes, the lady armor bingo. Okay, on to the next one. What do we have? Action games, role playing, idle. No, we don't care about them. They're fine. Purpose games, they're okay. And simulation strategy games. Okay, we can do strategy in sports. How about that? Okay, strategy. Is that spelled right? That looks wrong. Anyway. Okay, anyone got anything for strategy games? They include MOBAs, RTS, TBS, tower defense, that sort of thing. I actually don't think there's that many to cover.
Like lots of fire everywhere.
Yeah, so what I would definitely shove in is the, what was it, with ludicrous jibs under strategy as well. Because yeah, everything explodes all the time.
Well, not every. I'm trying to think of the right language for this, but hopefully you can understand. Like for everything you can play, there's like something that just this is something else that completely makes it null and void. Like there's a complete
like an equal and opposite reaction.
Yeah, exactly. Super strange question. Would you count Plants vs Zombies as a strategy game?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes, I would.
But that's not a tower defense game.
It sort of is.
Okay. I used to love
just that yes, it's so good, right? It's just that your towers are plants.
The other side,
right?
Yeah. Yeah, true.
And yeah, you're trying to collect sun. So that's why you need the sunflowers to get more plants to defeat the zombies. So yeah, I would call that a tower defense game. It's just a very odd way of showing it. Anything else for that one? Because that one's, I can't think of many.
I think I've got something in my mind, but I can't. I think you've already mentioned something.
I got another one.
Okay, Sarah first. Sarah
okay.
first.
You've got to I can't remember. We kind of mentioned it before. You've got to do something before you can do something else.
Oh yes, quest coupons. It's like a fetch quest, but it's to do with the main story. Okay, Bailey, you were saying.
Well, mine kind of is like depending on the game. I've seen it done both ways, but like you carry out like an order, like you want something to be built, and either it happens straight away or there's like a delayed time limit till it actually gets carried out.
Oh yeah, that one's a good one. Yeah, type that one in.
I have no idea how to type that.
Okay. What you
Let's
could
just
say...
everybody nod and agree.
Okay. Time delay for purchased units. There you go.
Nice.
Okay. Oh, I have so many, but they're all for like action and stuff, now that I think about it. We'll come back. Okay, so I'll put strategy elsewhere now. What about sports? Can anyone think of some sports tropes?
Oh, here we go. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Lots of basically like building your super team.
Okay.
There's like career mode. There is it's like obviously lots of esports involved.
Right. Yeah.
What else is there?
Type it all in.
Oh, okay.
This is for
Sorry.
later.
Alright.
That's what I was thinking about before, events, because like not necessarily like what he just mentioned, but you know, like Halloween, for instance, like all the everything.
Oh,
Like
that's a
a
good
theme.
one.
And
Yeah.
like, you know, around Christmas time, all the games get, you know,
Yeah. So
and
holiday
themes.
themes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's a good one. I think that applies to all of them, really.
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah.
Would leveling up be one for sport? Be kind of one, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Do you level up in sport games?
Not really.
No.
But you do you like your skills
What?
increase?
Oh, career mode. Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, more and more of them are just transitioning back into just microtransactions, pay to win.
Well, we'll put that down there for sure. There we go.
Are you there?
Yes, it is. You are right.
I'm planning on doing sports for the next essay, hopefully.
Ooh, I look forward to learning about them. As you can probably tell, I don't do sports.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a few more. I have a lot more, but I do have to wrap it up. Unfortunately, I could talk about this all the time. So one thing that happens a lot is palette swaps. So Mario Luigi is a good example. It doesn't happen nearly as much nowadays, but sometimes it'll happen with enemies and like mobs and stuff, where you'll have the same character but different clothes, or different colored clothes. Also happens in RPGs a bit for character creation. We've got the twist of protagonist is actually the villain. There's quite a few games that do that, to be absolutely honest. Another one I have is that villains don't have the time for you. They don't care. And they run away halfway through battle because they've got better things to do. And they let their minions die in front of them. Oops, sorry. Another one, which I think is more RPG-ish, I think, is teams of one-dimensional stereotypes, where you have NPCs that are just stereotypes of, like, I don't know, the classic the barbarian woman, or the classic I don't know, fighter, where they basically, they're either an orphan or they've run away from something, but that's all you need to know, and the rest of it is just, you know, they're basically a cardboard cutout there to hit people. Another one is amnesic protagonists or heroes. You're thrown into this world and you don't understand what's happening, but that's because the character doesn't understand what's happening. I think it was Tom that mentioned it before, where you are a mime. So in Half-Life 2, you can't play as you can't talk while you play as the main character.
Also in GTA 3 as well.
And GTA, cool.
Well, the third GTA. Anyway.
Got it. Tom's back. Oh, wait. You. Talk again, Tom? Nah, still not working. Okay, sorry. Oh, no, it is. It's working.
It's because I muted the microphone on the actual headset. Oh.
Wow.
Welcome back.
I'm done.
We got 5 minutes left. We got 5 minutes. Give us a trope that you can think of.
Is this still for sport? Or?
Anything, any kind of game that we forgot.
I'm just trying to read over what we already have. I don't know.
Okay. When okay, you're playing a game and you eat food. What happens?
Health regeneration? Like,
Yeah,
wait,
metabolism.
Right? Yeah.
Wait, are you talking about like if we're eating like while we're playing or the character?
The character.
Oh,
No, if you're eating, you just get crumbs in the keyboard. But
I was going to say that.
But a trope would be that you get health regen. Yeah, so type that in the thing.
I don't know if I connect.
I mean, Sarah can type it in. She's currently got control.
Okay. What was it?
Anyone? Food heals you. All right.
And I had another one.
Yes?
I tried to make it a second thing.
Go for it. Wherever you want. Oh, I like it. Yes.
I mean, if there wasn't, there wouldn't be really worth playing, I guess. Can't imagine, like, there's always something to gain, otherwise there'd be no motivation to do anything, I guess.
Yeah. There's always, I mean, the sense of accomplishment is definitely a thing, but
that could be the reward.
Yes, that could be, but it's not usually.
Did you just make a Battlefield 2 joke?
Not intentionally.
Oh, the classic EA pride is give you a sense of pride and accomplishment.
Oh my God, they did say that.
Oh,
oh.
Did everybody know about that? That was a pretty big deal last year.
Tell the class, please.
Well, I didn't. Actually, no, I did play that game a little bit. Star Wars Battlefront 2. Basically, they locked a lot of the characters, especially the most popular ones, behind a paywall, basically.
Yeah,
and,
like Darth Vader.
And I think, or actually, no, you could eventually grind, but it was like an unbelievable uphill battle to get that much XP or whatever metric they were using.
Yep.
And people just were losing it online. And basically EA was like, you should enjoy, playing the game because it gives you a sense of pride and accomplishment without having to pay to, unlock Darth Vader or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody on Reddit lost it. It was great.
That is pretty funny.
It became the most downvoted post of all time
yeah.
on Reddit.
That is intense though. That's an impressive amount of downvoting.
I wonder if Blizzard surpassed it with the whole Hong Kong stuff.
The Hong Kong thing?
Yeah.
Yes, but they cleverly brought out a Diablo 4 trailer the other day. and now all of the fanboys are back.
Dang
Yeah,
it.
gamers flip-flop a lot and very quickly. I have another one which did make me think of specifically Star Wars. You play as the you start as the OP character, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean that you are the best that you can be. So the one that I'm thinking of specifically is in a Star Wars game. I can't remember what the name's called, but it was made in Australia, where you play as a Padawan, but initially you start as Darth Vader, so that you can learn how to use your powers, how
Force
to
Unleashed.
yes, Force Unleashed, thank you. So you start as Darth Vader, you learn how to use your powers, how to use the lightsaber, all of that jazz, and then you're thrown from being all powerful to being able to use just like a jump and a simple swing of a sword. So you're really limited in that space. So it's not like you get downgraded, but you as a player get downgraded.
The Star Killer still was able to do a fair bit. Like, you know, he
Yeah,
had
but
the
he had to
electricity.
get those
Yeah.
powers. Yeah, whereas
but
you
like,
started at the
You started
height.
with the basic, but with Starkiller you still have like the basic force lift, and then you still have basic electricity. It's just you'd upgrade it, have like, you know, stronger electricity, and then the
Yeah.
choke, and
Yeah.
which I had on
yes.
the Wii. So the choke meant you have to twist your arm to be able to choke it.
Oh,
Just
wow.
pick someone.
Wow.
But I didn't use it that much.
One last one I want to put down personally is that it's not just that you're the bad guy. It happens a lot in psychological thriller games. Whenever you think of a psychological thriller game, it gets you are the bad guy nearly always, and it's not just that you're the bad guy. You're a bad dad, or you're a bad husband, or it's you are a male character and you are bad, and you have been bad to the woman in your life, right? And that trope, it wears thin, very, very thin. But Wise Old Sage is a good one. Yes.
I don't know if that's the only genre. It wouldn't be the only genre, but I figured that would be the closest.
I mean, I would put it in role playing for sure. Wise Old Sage in that one. Maybe an action adventure game, maybe. But yeah, with survival horror, not survival horror, psychological horror, you're always the bad guy. And the twist is that you're the bad guy, but you can see it coming a mile away. It's a Skype call because it's 8:30. Okay.
It's my husband.
Oh, okay, right. So, if anyone else wants to point out anything more, I'm going to eventually save this as a PDF so that we can and add extra ones that I didn't discuss previously, and link you to the place where you can find these titles, so you can read more about the tropes, and how some of them are in specific genres and how some of them are not. But that should all be good. I think I've covered everything I wanted to cover.
That was pretty comprehensive.
Excellent.
That was good, thank you.
Cool.
Did everybody get their essays in? On time?
No, but I got an extension in on time.
Yes, you did. Yes. Yes.
But it
Apologies
inbound
in
like a
advance.
couple of hours late.
Right. Okay. So Bailey was the only one.
I'm the only one. Oh, wow.
Well, only one here.
Yeah. Dang.
Well,
I tried my
I-
best. Don't judge, please. Too hard.
it's my job.
No, I know. That's all right.
I
No,
will.
good.
I will judge appropriately. I will not judge too tough, but nor will I slack.
Oh, well, actually, if I could get some like writing feedback, that'd be great. Because Simon just doesn't really comment on that, and I know you're really good at it, so
Okay, sure.
that'd be really helpful.
Yeah. Easy. Essays are easy. If the one thing I learned from memes, which is a weird thing to say, is how to write an essay, and it is have you guys seen Emperor's New Groove?
Not in a long time.
Okay, well, vaguely, you remember how Krunk and Yzma have the plan to poison Cusco? And Krunk says something along the lines of the poison to the vial to poison the poison to poison Cusco, Cusco's poison, poison to, oh no, I've lost it, but like he repeats poison a lot and talks about Cusco, and that is how an essay structure goes.
Yeah.
And then it's like, and that poison? Yes, that poison. It's a great way to figure out, have you done an essay correctly? follow Kronk's method of essay.
I pretty much had like a full mental breakdown about 6 hours before the deadline because I'm like, have I done assignment 3? Is this assignment 2? YOLO. Like, I've tried to pivot hard in the assignment 2 direction, but I spent about 66% of it focusing on one game and the influence of that
that'll
game.
be okay. Yeah, that'll be okay.
But gave a little bit of backstory to how that game came to be, I guess.
Yeah, that should be fine. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how we go.
Awesome.
Okay. All right. Also, here's games to play for other people. They're trivia games. It's fun. All right. Okay. Stop sharing, and then it's time to end the call. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, Kylie. Have a good one.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
See ya.
See ya.